So the motorcycle first came out at Milan, the prices for India were announced at the Auto Expo this year, and now today it's time to ride the new Harley-Davidson Street 750. Now at this point what you already know about the motorcycle is it's a brand new motorcycle, something that Harley-Davidson hasn't done for the last 14 years. It means that Revolution X engine is brand new, it's liquid cooled, it's over square, it's quite free revving. All of that is new. The chassis is completely new. The tires are MRF. This is of course manufactured in India, so there is a lot of Indian stuff here. So the metal tank, the fenders, it's all made in India. But today let's talk about what it feels like to ride. I've ridden this for about 100 kilometers already, and I have to tell you, I really like the motorcycle. Now in some ways it is like a typical Harley-Davidson. So for example, the sound is a lot like the V-Rod sound. So it's not as potato as an air-cooled V-twin would be. Honest, it's not. But it is like a V-Rod. So there's a little bit of a whine when you're at very low revs, but as you get up the revs, there is that brap of a nice twin going. So it does actually sound good. It does sound better if you're following the motorcycle rather than on it though. The engine, as I said, is free revving. There is a lot of torque. It's about 65 Nm at 4000, but right from the word go, right from idle, it's a pretty torquey machine, and it gets to its red line, which is about 8500 RPM without any effort at all. So in that sense, it's a pretty quick motorcycle to ride. It's a very rideable motorcycle, so you can leave it in 5th or 6th gear. It doesn't matter. The motorcycle just handles it. So when you see a gap in traffic, you just roll the throttle on and you're absolutely through it. So that's one of the things you really like about the motorcycle. It's quick and it's rideable both. On the clock, we saw 180 today. There was a deserted stretch where we were allowed to go as fast as we like. It's not fully accurate, right? So the actual reading will be a little bit lower, but it does max out the speed up properly if you find the space. What I also like about the motorcycle is the ride quality. Now typically Harley-Davidsons have this heavy sort of ride quality that more or less causes the roads to disappear, the irregularities to disappear by the sheer weight and mass of the motorcycle. This thing is about 42 kilos lighter than a Sportster, so it's not going to do that. But what it does have is well-tuned suspension, and what that does is allow it to actually absorb a lot of punishment before it lets it get to the rider. I was actually quite surprised by that. The other thing you should remember is this platform is a taller platform. There's a better ground clearance than the usual Harley-Davidson. The unintended benefit almost is the fact that this actually has pretty decent cornering clearance. So it is a relatively long wheelbase, but the front end isn't raked out, so it's not very slow to turn and it's pretty agile. In the city it's pretty maneuverable, but when you do find a nice sweeping corner where you can actually lay the bike on its side and hold it there for a minute, you realize there's actually a pretty big amount of ground clearance. So decking things out, grinding your pegs is possible to do. I mean, all Harley-Davidson do it, but it's not as easy as you think. So overall, as a package, I think if you were to look at the niggles in this bike, the mirrors aren't really good, and if you're very tall, your shoulders cover up most of what's going on behind you. There isn't a day flash switch here, which I miss when you're riding, although like all international Harley-Davidson, there is no headlight off switch, so the headlight's actually always on. There is no option of ABS, for example, and I would like to have a little more feel from these brakes. But outside of those niggles, 4.1 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi is actually a pretty phenomenal price for a motorcycle this good. I think Harley-Davidson have got a very good things on their hands now. The decision that remains to be seen is, will the Street 500 come to India? And of course, in about 2 years' time, what the next addition to the Street line will be. But in the meantime, I think Harley-Davidson have a hit on their hands.